Welcome. Playing a little Trains 12 here. Or Trains 12, Trains 19. Oh man, I'm so used to building in Trains 12 years ago. My brain is still stuck in thinking that this is Trains 12. I want to throw. Actually, I think this button still works, right? Yeah, still works. Cool. So here, Wixom Yard in a route that I've been working on. Why is this not moving? There we go. But I wanted to talk today while we're driving this train. We're just gonna tie onto these shortcut of auto racks here. Take a little trip down to Plymouth. But I want to talk today about Microsoft Train Sim 2, and I know I did a video a couple of months ago, back in October. I did a video back in October about why financial reason, or not financial, but business-wise, why it's very unlikely that we will see Microsoft Train Sim 2, mostly because there's a larger market for flight simulators than there is for train simulators. And you sit there and say, well, no, that's not true because blah, blah, blah. But if you watch that video, I broke down, I went on to Steam stats, I went on all kinds of things. I did math to even make the numbers for train simulators bigger. And still more people, still mathematically speaking, more people are playing train simulator, or playing flight simulators than they are train simulators. I've been up since 4 a.m. It's been a long, long day. Anyways, so this video I'm going to talk about it from a practicality standpoint, why we probably won't see Microsoft Train Simulator 2. And one of the big reasons is, and this is something I gotta fix here, is I still have a floating track down at the center of the yard. Did I make the joint? I did. Cool. That was a nice, gentle coupling. We'll keep it an exterior view. There it goes, not starting to roll. So one of the things that Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 by, I had them up right here, Aspo Studios? Yeah, Aspo. Published by Microsoft. One of the things that they are doing is they are using Bing Maps. I believe it's Bing Imagery just because it's Microsoft and it's their satellites. They're using Bing Imagery to basically scan the whole world, make everything as detailed as possible, have all the buildings as close, streets, buildings, all that stuff match real world at a level that, I got a burp stuck right there, at a level that no other flight sim has done outside of third-party add-ons. Like X-Plane has Ortho Scenery, which is a third-party add-on you have to download from another source to get real-world scenery. Same thing with Prepared and Microsoft Flight Simulator X. They have kind of generic scenery, and then they have downloadable, third-party, high-quality, sometimes in some cases, payware, you have to pay real money for it, scenery. So, with the ability to just download, or with Flight Simulator 2020, they're using all the technology available to make, as realistic and as close representation of the real world. And a lot of people have said, at least in the, throw that switch, mostly in the train simulator community, Car Tagger came up, in the train simulator community, have said, well, why can't this technology be applied to train sims? And I've seen a few people even say it in Truck Sim and a couple other places. And I'm going to only talk really about train sims, but it applies to using that same technology in pretty much everywhere else, is flight simming has a different dynamic and different level of expectation. When you're in a plane flying even 100 feet off the ground, you don't really need to make sure that these signals right here, this grade crossing, are the right type, because you're on a plane. It doesn't matter. If you fly over it, you fly over it. Whereas if you're in a train simulator, you're going to make, if you were to download this route that I'm working on, and you were to go and sit right here at this grade crossing, and be like, well, those grade crossings aren't right. And yeah, there they're working. I gotta adjust the timers on them. If they weren't just right, you might be like, oh, this detail's off. But in a flight sim, you're not really going to see that. So getting those little details, trees and things like that you see from the cab, or even an external view like this in the locomotive. And granted, I don't have any scenery really down outside of these trees. This is a route that I'm still very, very much working on. I should have a speed change here soon. But I don't have that detail here, so I can't really use this as a good example of those little details. But I can sit there and use that grade crossing and these signals here. So the next thing is, using that Google imagery, pulling that stuff down and everything, or Bing Maps or whatever, is really good for getting these details. But when it comes to laying the train tracks and building the roads, you would have to do that by hand. And a large part of that is because when Google imagery and Bing Maps scans the world, they're just taking a snapshot at different angles, and they can use algorithms to build buildings and stuff. And they may see a train sitting at this grade crossing coming up. I'm just going to sound the horn for this grade crossing, and then I'll finish this thought. Might need to adjust that track. It's a little tight right there looking. So as I was saying, those little details, they're gonna get lost. Not those little details. I'm sorry. I got distracted. Google Maps might see a train sitting on these tracks and think it's a bump in the ground. And if you were to just tell Google Maps, take a picture of the ground and then lay track wherever, it's not going to know exactly where to put track. Track might be doing this. Yards wouldn't be accurate. It may even have blank spots where there was a train in the imagery and it thinks, well, that's just a pile of dirt, and doesn't put track down. So if you did do that, you would then have to go through by hand and relay every single mile of track. And if you were to do it at the level of, say, the whole world, that's like 80,000. I did the math earlier and I had the numbers up. Yeah, that's 85,000 miles of railroad in the entire world. If you had a team, say, of 10 people and they did 100 miles of track a day of just handling all of that tracking game, team of people, 10 hours, 100 miles a day, it would take like 20 some odd years to lay all the track and put all the grade crossings in and put all the signals in the exact spot that they are. And if you didn't do it right, you're going to have people complaining and saying, well, I went to Horseshoe Curve, and Horseshoe Curve has 4 tracks, but your game only had 1 because you didn't go by and handle it all, and blah, blah, blah. And, it's going to be a whole bunch of weird problems. And that's right, I deleted this track because I decided it's... I didn't put that industry in because I'm lazy. Oh, we got another grade crossing coming up? Yeah. Also speeding. Another thing is, and this is one thing that I don't think people really think about when they want to build a route, is train sims give us the ability to download and play on routes that don't exist anymore, playing them in ways that you normally couldn't. For example, this particular line I'm running on, And I hit a car. That stopper's not working. This particular line I'm running on in this section, CSX doesn't run on it anymore. But because it's a train sim and I can do whatever I want, I'm running CSX on it. And I've just got, like I said, I've got a short little train just coming down from Wixom, heading down to Plymouth. And we're rolling through, no, not Romulus, this is Novi. Romulus is after Plymouth. Is it? Oh man, it's been so long. Yeah, it is. But because train sims allow us to relive bygone eras and drive on routes that don't exist anymore, if you were to, let's just say you had all the technology, you could lay all the track perfectly, put all the signals and grade crossings and every little detail in exactly as it is in the real world from a snapshot of Google, of Earth through Bing Maps and Google Maps and all that stuff. Let's say you had the technology to do that with very little margin of error. There's few things that are broken. What era would you do? There's going to be some people who say, well, let's do modern era. And you go, okay, well, we'll do modern era. And then there's going to be that one person, well, I want steam engines and I want to drive this line that doesn't exist anymore. And then you're going to have that one person who wants to run, you're going to have that one group of people that wants to run Mojave sub in the 1970s with Southern Pacific and everything. And you're going to have the people who want modern day Cajon or modern day Mojave sub with more double track and everything. And modern locomotives. And because that's two different configurations of the same route, it's like, how do you do that? You could sit there and make the argument, oh, well, I'll just do both. Okay, well, then now you have to make 50 versions of every single route that you just hand laid. You now have to lay even more track. You've just doubled the amount of work you have to do. And that's actually supposed to be a bridge, so that's why there's nothing there. So, in the long run, I'm speeding again. In the long run, using Bing Maps and everything, and Google Maps to try and the same technology that Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is implementing. Well, I think it would be great, it'd be awesome to see that and come to a train simulator, because there's so many variables in it, so many little things. What era, what yards, what configurations of even those yards. Some yards have changed up. Some main lines have changed up. There's so many variables there that it just makes it really, really difficult to build something like that. And I'm still speeding. Oh well. This is my route. I can speed if I want to. I'm also just like, I set myself, and I started doing this, I said I'm only going to go as far as Plymouth in this video, so I'm not going to make a 20-30 minute long video. Unlike some of my other ranty videos. Now, I'll admit this. I'll admit this right now. If, let's say, Microsoft announces that, yeah, they've taken the technology of Flight Sim 2020 and they've applied it to train simming, and Train Sim 2 or Train Sim 2020 is coming out, and it's going to have all this stuff, I'll admit I was wrong in my assumptions. These are just my opinions based on the facts as I see them. I see it as, and I gotta clean up some of these trees. Like, that one should not be there. And actually, I should probably tidy up this ballast a little bit. There's a grade crossing right there that I didn't see coming. All this stuff, if you're looking at this and going, oh, that looks like trash, this is all just quick and dirty. I'm making sure to get the main line in and the grade crossings in and working, and then I'm going to go through and do a scenery pass and make sure that all the grade crossings and everything look good. This was just temporary. I wanted to see performance-wise if I could use these. I think these are. I forget which trees these are. See if I can get decent performance. I think I'm getting pretty decent performance. It's probably gonna slaughter. YouTube's gonna probably slaughter the quality of this, but whatever. Anywho, realistically, I don't see Microsoft coming out with a Train Simulator 2 for the fact that, one, I don't think the market's there. You already have you already have Train Sim World 2, which again, I don't know why they're making Train Sim World 2. Train Sim World 1 could have just been an upgrade to Train Sim World 1, whatever. You have the Train series, you have Run 8, you have Open Rails. There's something I don't even know about. There's a Maya or Maya or something like that. There's a German one. There's a bunch. I think it's Zusi. There's a handful of smaller train sims. There's already plenty out there, and the technology that they've developed, that Abos Studios developed in partnership with Microsoft for Flight Simulator, I don't think would translate very well to Train Sim. I don't think you could make a decent world that people would be happy with. If you were to just do it and say, all right, here it is, you'd have people complaining that some areas aren't detailed enough. Some areas are broken. Some areas are all wrong. Look up Google Earth Flight Simulator. That's a free Google Earth Flight Simulator, and it's GOEFS, GOEFS, I believe. And go to just any airport, just any random airport, and you'll see that there are elevation errors where you'll just see random 50-foot high spikes. Even here in trains with Transdem, you occasionally, and I haven't found any on this route just because I have a more powerful computer. What the hell is this exhaust smoke doing right here? I think I have PhysX turned on again and it's doing weird things. It's trying to like billow off of this, but it's shooting forward instead. Anywho. But yeah, in trains you would get random 50-foot high spikes of terrain. And I think you would get that. I think you're probably still going to get that in Flight Sim 2020, but they probably have some algorithm to get rid of that. So you could easily put an algorithm into this to get rid of it. But again, you would have elevations and gradients that would be unacceptable. Got a grade crossing there. Let's go. Crossing there. I want to set this signal view details. Oh, that's because that's not a signal I can do that with. I think I forgot a signal over here. Actually, we're not even going to go into the Plymouth Yard. I'm going to just call it here. But I think that the technology is there, but it's not ready yet for it. And we're going to clear this. Yes, we cleared that bridge. Cool. And I don't think the technology can adequately be applied to train simulators. So, in conclusion, I still don't think we're going to see a Train Sim 2020. I know this video is a little all over the place. I apologize for that. Check the link in the description below for my Twitch channel. You can come in there and we can actually have this conversation one-on-one. When I'm streaming either on Wednesdays during my iRacing stuff or on Fridays during Run 8. Or I'm going to try and go on Sundays streaming, building this route some more. Just full application of train brake battle off the independent, because that is a red signal and we're going to stop for it, hopefully. We're not going to stop for it. I'm going to overshoot it. Actually, no, we may stop in time. Yep, we're going to stop in time. And because these are TRC crossings, they should deactivate here. Yep, they deactivated. Anywho, that's going to be it for this video. Try to keep it short. Apologize if it's long and kind of rambling. I'm tired. I woke up stupid early. And I'm kind of focused on driving a train as well. So, catch you guys in the next one.